Hi, this is Dr. Taheri. Welcome to another SolidWorks tutorial. In this tutorial, I continue talking about sheet metal as well as forming tools. These two are very useful features in SolidWorks. The objective of this tutorial is to make this kind of chocolate mold for two sizes of maple leaf shape. And here we have made in China emblem there. So let us start with and it's fairly basic shape anyway. Let's start by making a new part. You can simply draw the maple leaf, which takes quite a bit of time, or you can use a very handy feature in SolidWorks, and that feature is called tracing. In order to activate trace, make sure you go to option and adds in, and in adds in you should see that this is been already selected, auto trace. So if is that the case, you do it, and let's go to front plane and making a sketch. Instead of actually drawing, what I do here, I go to tools, to go to sketch tools, I go down here to sketch picture, I press that, and then I have to find the picture, which I already got it here, the maple leaf picture, and I import it here. So here what I have, I suggest you do not reduce the size of this, do whatever you want, and after when you do the actual tracing, then you can scale the sketch accordingly. A couple of options here, you can make it mirror here if you want, or this way, so we don't need that. Now we go to the next arrow here, and now as you can see I have few features here. I have 4 selections for selecting the sketch. I can make a rectangular shape, and that would be like, for example, something like this, and if I trace it I get exactly what I see here. Or I could use a geometry and I can trace that, I get this. Or I can make lines and I can trace that as well. Or simply let me go here and I go to the properties. Oh, it wasn't property. Let me see, I go back here, here and here, the one, yeah. So, or in this particular case I have a color contrast, so I simply go to the color, I choose it and I trace it. So it should be fairly simple. You can change these features here as well. So in that case I finish it, it looks good. Of course it's not perfect here, and in this case I would like to delete the picture itself, so I have something like this. Now I suggest you the best way to solve this problem is, so you want to have very symmetric shape, so I modify it. First of all, for example, I connect this to here, and anything else seems okay, and then I go here and I make a center line from this point straight down here. Make sure this is vertical. It is vertical. And then I use a trim entity and I remove one side of it. This side I just delete it. Delete this and this, as well as this. Okay. I want to make this one to be vertical, and maybe a little bit of more distance I give here, and maybe a little more actually, up to here. And now I select them all, and I go to mirror entity, and the entity is mirror. Now I have totally symmetric shape here. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, so I have this shape. Depends on what size I want to make that. So I know already I want to make this mold, and this mold, so the size, this is 250 by 250, so roughly this should be about maybe 2 centimeter, and this should be maybe half of it. So let me go back to my shape here, and let's see what is this dimension here. I go here and see the dimension here. well, it's way too big. It's about 8 times bigger than what I was planning to do. And in that case, of course, I have to scale this. So I go using this option here, scale. So I select everything here. Everything needs to be scaled. And let's say I scale about this point. Select this point, and you see if I scale it more, I make it a little bigger, go this way, or I want to make it smaller. So I go perhaps to 1.5. Actually, I think let me just go back here. Something is missing here. Go back, what is missing here? So let's see here, it's completely connected. Here's 2, so this should having a problem here. Let me select it again. Okay, and I go here to scale. I select the whole thing, and I use this center point. Okay, and I want to make it smaller. Yeah, it doesn't change anything here. I'll just make it 0.2 just for sake of argument. This is scale. Sometimes it's good to actually, if you want to do it more accurately, you scale it half, and then you scale the half to maybe 1/10. So it's easier to do it in different increments. Now I finished this, and the next step is, so obviously I want to make an extrude out of this. So I select this. So I have here, and I make it, depends on how deep I want to make my chocolate. Maybe 10 millimeter centimeter is good. So I select it here. So this is done, and the next thing I want to do will be using sheet metal forming tool. And in forming tool is asking, so what is the stopping face? So I want to stop at this, and if any faces are removed, in my case I am not removing anything, so I'll simply say no, and this is what I have. So I go and I save that. When you try to save it, so you better save it in a known directory. And let me just go here, and I save it here. I go back here to my C drive, my computer. Let's go back here. Do it again. We'll save as, and go back here to my C drive. And in C drive, if you're using Windows 7, so it should be program data, and in program data you go to SolidWorks. Right here, SolidWorks. And in my SolidWorks I have 2 versions, so that's version 11. And then you go to design library, and the design library you go to forming tools, and here you can make an extra directory, maybe call it examples, and you go to examples, and I make that as Maple 1. This is done. So it's done here. Of course I have another size too, so I better do that one as well here. Since I'm at this point, you go delete your forming tools, and now you go back here, you go to the sketch, do it again here, you go to sketch, and I go here again to scaling. So I want to scale that. I make it perpendicular, and I choose everything here. Everything wants to be selected. My point would be this point, and I want to make it half of this size. So the rest is same. So I'll finish this one here, and maybe I want to also make it in terms of the thickness is smaller. So in that case I have to go and I have to change that from 10 to 5. So it's 5 millimeter thickness. And then I go to forming tool, and I select this face again, and then I go here and I save it as Maple Leaf 2. There are two different maple leaves. Okay, close this, and then I go to make a new sketch, and in my sketch I go to part and I go to front plane, simply make a line. Let's give the line the dimension of, I'll call it 300. Okay, and then I go to sheet metal and I go to base flange. So here is a little tricky part. So often when you want to do the actual forging or forming tool, so you have to have the proper size. I go through the process to show you what would be the problem. So I'm going to use here the gauge table. I use steel, and in terms of the gauge, the higher the gauge, the lower is the thickness. So I use the highest number, which is 18, which gives me the thickness of 1.27, I believe. Yes, sorry, 1.21, and I go with 300. So here what I have, so I made a sheet, and let me just go here to forming tools, and I have examples here. Let's see, where is this example here? There we go. So, and now I want to actually make my forging. So I have Maple Leaf 1. Actually, it seems too big. Even in this case here, it's way too big. So maybe I go back here, and it's very quick fixed. So what I do, I make it actually smaller. So I go. So let me just do this. I go here to number 2. Number 2 is good. So I want to make half of this size. So quickly can fix it. I go here and I delete the forming tool, and I go to edit the sketch here, and I have to scale this one here, maybe half of this size. So I go and I select the whole thing, and with respect to this point, and I want to reduce the size to half of here. There we go, and this is done. And then I create my forming tool again. The thickness is the same thing, is good. Stopping this, and in this case I'm gonna save it as my Maple Leaf 1 because that is way too big, and that's done. Close this, rebuild, and now I have Maple Leaf 2 here. So I'll place it here. So now you see, you may get this error here, and then as I did, and then you go here and you say what is wrong, and it refers to the thickness is not compatible. So in order to improve this, so what I have to do here, and I knew this is going to happen, so I go here, edit, and remember I use gauge 18. Maybe I overwrite that and I make it much less, make it 0.5 instead of what it was before, and the thickness also is 0.5. And let's see if this has been working now. Still, you see, is not showing it. Maybe a rebuild, see if no, still is a problem. Again, you have to go, because this Maple Leaf is very small, so maybe that's the reason here. So I make it to 0.2. Hopefully this is going to help. And 0.2, and there we go. See now, because I reduced this thickness, so it looks better now here. The next thing I want to do in this case will be, I want to go to feature, I go to linear pattern, I go to linear pattern here, and I use this dimension, and the geometry I want to use feature is Maple Leaf. So I want to make it a little more distance here, and I want to have maybe 4. So as in the other direction here, I want to make a little more distance as well here, and maybe make 3 with more distance. There we go. And the next thing would be I want to make the smaller one, which are the maple leaf 1. If you feel that this is not thick enough, all you need to do is you go here to maple leaf 1, and you go to here. Oh, because it was, yeah, actually I should make this one 15. It looks better, you know. I just do that here, and here save it here, because previous one was 5 millimeter. Let me just delete this maple leaf here, and I make the new one here. So I put one here, so you see it's more pronounced here. Yeah, that's good. And then do the same thing here, linear pattern. So you have this, and go to the other direction here. You make 4, and I have also second direction is here for the other side, and bingo. So it's all done. And then I want to make the smaller one. I place the smaller one between these one here. So a smaller one goes like here, for example, maybe here. Oh, there we go. I got another error here, and it shows even that one is too thick because this is smaller. So I have to go back here again, and I have to modify it to 0.1, and let's see if that helps. Hopefully it does. So it's all playing with the thickness, and actually it did help here. And now what I want to do, I do the linear pattern again. Maybe I should have actually delete this one to using the space efficiently. So I delete that and I start from here. So I put the, not the first one, I put this one here, right here. Okay. And then I go to linear pattern, and I do the same thing here. So I use this side, and the feature I want to use is my maple leaf. So it's already make I can make more actually with a smaller distance. No, actually it's good because I don't want to cause any problem. Here is good. 6, and the other side I do it this way, and it's all made. There we go. So you see, majority of them are done. There are a few more features I want to add. Just wait for this to be completed. There we go. Yeah, it looks good enough. A little different than original shape, but that's okay. Should I go to this pattern here? I feel I have to modify that a little bit. So this size is too much. Here it looks better. Maybe I'll make it 93. It's perfectly in the center. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, it's better. There we go. So comparing with the one that we have to create the edges here now, and the simple feature we have here is we select, for example, this edge, and we go to sheet metal, and we go to edge. So how far we want to go instead of blind here, I go to vortex, and I want to make it exactly to this point here, as I see right there. So if I place this one, then it's gonna be the same. It's flat with this side. So I do the same thing on the other side. Here I select this, I go to make the flange edge. So I go here, the stop line, I go to the vertex 2 and I use this point. This is done. And last but not least, I have another forging tools. Let me go here, and I think it's in rib. I put it there, and I made that. I'll show you what I did, and it takes a few minutes, but I don't want to take your time. I made something like this. So let me go up here and show you what I did. So I have first a plate, simple extrude, and then I actually wrote here made in China, and you can use in a sketch. You can make a line and you can start from there, and then I extrude it, and then I made a forming tools out of it, and I have this shape. So simply if I want to add to here, so I can simply go here and write it here. I can press tab and it comes out or in, or I can go the other side here and I place it simply here. There we go. And here what I get. So this would be forged there. Takes a while, I believe. I might get an error here. No, it's okay. And you can see here, right here, I have made in China. So this is a good practice for using tools and forming tools. I just go through it again, and I want to explain one more thing here. Let me just delete everything as I have. I would like to save that. So save this as perhaps I go here, my computer's C drive. So to let my students to use that, I put it in courses 2012. I'm sorry, 170 more. Assignment number 9, and I make this one as number 8. Now let me just go back here, and I want to delete these two patterns, this pattern as well as this. Delete this to all. So I have two shapes only. And I do have another maple leaf here, which is way bigger, and I show you the effects of what I have here. So this is the maple leaf, exactly the same, and in this case, when I go to forming tools, previously I used nothing here as the removed. I remove this face now, and this face is removed, and let's see what is the effect of punching it with this maple leaf here. If I do this, it's almost like it become a cookie cutter, and see that it looks like this. It's kind of interesting, and I could actually change a little bit. So let me just go here, delete this maple leaf, and I go back here to my initial maple leaf, the big one, and what I do, instead of cutting, I go and modify the forming tool and remove this, and the face I want to remove is maybe this 6 faces, this. So these are what I want to remove, and maybe this as well as this. So here, and let me save that, and when I now go and use this, my maple leaf, rebuild it, the shape is going to be interesting. It's going to be similar to here, except the fact that I am missing these planes that I removed, and here is the difference. Now depends on how you want to build your geometry and shape in your part, so you can use this feature to removing as many faces as you want. So this again, you have to practice. There are so many other things. These are very basic shapes. You can keep adding into it. I'll show you another one I made here, and that is, let me just delete this as well. I made this, as you can see, sink. So this is like a kitchen sink, and I made this same way. So first I made my forming tools. The forming tools is actually should be here. So sink here. So this is my forming tool. So I made this, and then I removed these parts, as you see that the red ones, and then I just define a sheet and I create this forming tool. So this is also what we have. So I have another one here I show you, and that would be, I think, here. So this is seems like a gas tank, and I made these forming tools, and then I believe I have an assembly here. If I can find that, let me just go here, open. And assembly one. There we go. And here is the assembly I have. And this is my forming tool, and as you can see, you can see the animation here. So it's very simple again. So this was my forming tool, and this piece is the sheet, and I've created this. Anyway, so this will conclude our today's tutorial. Thank you very much, and I hope this will be helpful.